Happy Sunday, Christmas Eve, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We'll be breaking down late December through the middle of January in today's weather forecast, showing you who could see snow by the time we turn into 2024. If you are new to the channel and not yet subscribed, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, especially if you do like detailed weather breakdowns across North America and the tropics. And I would love to hit 60,000 subscribers by the start of 2024 on January 1st, and you can help me get there by subscribing to the channel. Also, be sure to press the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. Looking at the weather conditions across the United States, the weather alerts out there this morning, several of them across the central and northern plains. We have winter weather advisories here in the purple from South Dakota into west central Nebraska, northwest Kansas, and then back into the Rockies. We also have winter storm watches in the teal shaded colors from southeastern South Dakota into east central Nebraska, where we're gearing up for several inches of accumulating snow. And we also have dense fog advisories around Lake Michigan there across the Midwest into the Ohio Valley, including there into the Milwaukee region, Chicago, Indianapolis there into the Grand Rapids region. We are keeping an eye on some dense fog for the morning commute there on your Christmas Eve. Looking at the current weather across the United States as of this morning, we have rain from the upper Midwest, from Minnesota all the way to the Gulf Coast. This does include the Dallas-Fort Worth area, New Orleans seeing some rainfall as of this morning. We do have some snow flying here across South Dakota, west central Nebraska, into eastern Colorado this morning as well. And that is the start of what could be a pretty significant snowstorm over the next couple of days. Looking at your low temperatures we are waking up to this morning, widespread warmth across the United States, and this is an area that doesn't see much of any snow on the ground currently. Temperatures are already into the middle and upper 40s there across the upper Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and into the middle and upper 50s across the Missouri Valley, the Deep South. Definitely a warm start to your Christmas Eve, and your temperature anomalies this morning are 30 to 40 degrees above the norm for this time of year, especially up here into the Midwest. So it is very warm for Christmas Eve morning, that is for sure. And looking at the current snow depth here as of right now this morning, notice the eastern 2/3 of the country, there's virtually no snow on the ground, minus upstate New York where we have a little bit lingering there. That's about it. All the snow is across the Rockies, the northern high plains, or just southern Canada there. That is it across the United States currently this morning. Looking at this afternoon, notice the temperatures that warm up into the 50s, all the way up into the Minneapolis-St. Paul vicinity, Chicago, Milwaukee, and then getting into portions there of St. Louis into the 60s today, Lexington, Kentucky into the 60s, Nashville into the 60s as we go into this afternoon. It is snow-free. There's no snowpack in that area, so that means our temperatures will be able to readily warm up very quickly this afternoon. As we go into Christmas Day, here are your high temperatures. Once again, the 50s for the Midwest, the Ohio Valley on southward with some 60s there near the southeast coast. And then as we go into Tuesday, much of the same, but we're shifting that 50-degree line further east. And that is because we have a cold front moving through with our storm system as we go through early next week. So looking here currently at your weather for today, Christmas Eve on the 24th, we have rain from the upper Midwest through the central plains and the deep south there. We'll be seeing some soaking rain across those areas in green. We have snow or a mix of rain and snow on the backside of the storm today, enough cold air across the Dakotas. Getting into west central Nebraska, Wyoming, Colorado, northwestern Kansas, seeing some heavier snows through today. That snow line will shift a little bit further east as we go into Christmas Day, covering portions of the eastern Dakotas, parts of western Minnesota, getting down into east central Nebraska, northern portions of Kansas, and then the rain line shifts further east. So more of the western Ohio Valley, the Midwest, all the way down into the southeast. And notice the cold front here, drier weather behind it, but also colder weather behind it across the southern plains on Christmas Day. And then the storm system starts to occlude and slow down as we go into Tuesday, early next week on the 26th. Heavier snows up here again, continuing for portions of the Dakotas, Minnesota, western Iowa now, getting in toward the Kansas City region, perhaps seeing some snow. Omaha as we go into that time frame, even Lincoln, Nebraska, seeing some heavier snow. As we go into Tuesday, the rainfall shifts further east into portions of the eastern Great Lakes, the mid-Atlantic, and the southeast coast on Tuesday. Overall, here's your rainfall accumulation in inches now through the middle of next week, taking us through Wednesday, December 27th. Widespread amounts of over an inch here in areas that are in the blue and in the purple here, especially from Minnesota, down through Iowa, down through the Kansas City region, as well as Omaha there and into the Minneapolis-St. Paul vicinity, and then even parts of the Carolinas and near the Gulf Coast, near New Orleans, Mobile, Alabama, Panama City, those areas. We could be seeing over 2 inches worth of rain in those purple shaded colors as we go through the middle of next week. So obviously the concern is there for flash flooding, as we do have some heavier rainfall rates with this system. Now through your Christmas Day time frame on Monday the 25th of December, there is a marginal to slight risk of flash flooding all the way up into southwestern Iowa and then all the way down toward the Gulf Coast there. A couple slight risk areas to keep an eye on, especially centered around the Kansas City region, Tulsa, and then the southernmost one into the New Orleans region and Mobile, Alabama there into Christmas Day. Flash flooding shifts further east as we go into your Christmas Day into Tuesday time frame on the 25th and 26th. Across portions of the southeast with just a marginal risk of some isolated flooding concerns over that region by that time. Notice the backside of the storm system will be producing some heavier snows for South Dakota, for Nebraska, and then back into the Rockies. We could be seeing some decent snow totals here once it's all said and done. We could be approaching a foot or so of snow into far southern South Dakota or far northern Nebraska there. So definitely a lot of snow to plow as we go into early next week. That is for sure. And also with travel out there, as we're going to our Christmas destination or driving home from our Christmas destination there, we do have to keep an eye on the moderate to major travel impacts with this system, with the snow flying around on the backside early next week. So definitely make sure to take it slow out there across the northern high plains once this system concludes. Now, as we are thinking about Christmas, we're also thinking about the new year as well, as we are about a week away from the start of 2024. Notice on Sunday, New Year's Eve, this is the 31st of December here. This is your 500 millibar height anomaly. And basically what this shows is the red anomalies mean we have high pressure or warmer temperatures across Canada there, spiking up into Alaska and the northern tier of the United States. The blue is lower of the pressure. You can see lower pressure down here across southeastern coast in the southern U.S., and that also coincides with cooler temperatures and more active weather there for New Year's Eve. And as we go into New Year's Day, much of the same as well, with that blocking up there into Western Canada and Alaska. So first, let's look at your high temperatures for Sunday, New Year's Eve on the 31st of December. Notice we start to cool down. Areas that are in the 50s in the upper Midwest today will be seeing a cool down and a shock to the system, really, as we go into New Year's Eve. High temperatures into the middle 20s will be a very big difference, since we have seen a lot of warmer air so far this year. And even as we go into Sunday night, look at our nighttime lows getting into the teens and 20s across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast, as we wait and watch for 2024 to start. And then as we go into Monday, New Year's Day, the start of January, much of the same. Cold to the north, and we have warmer, milder conditions further to the south. So looking at precipitation for New Year's Eve, if you have any New Year's Eve plans out there, folks, this is about as quiet of a weather pattern as you will ever see across southern Canada and the United States, even northern Mexico. Very, very quiet here. Not a lick of precipitation across this region whatsoever, and even across portions of the southern U.S. as we go into New Year's Day. There could be some rain or a rain-snow mix other than that, we're really just not seeing any impactful storm systems at this point for New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. So that is certainly some good news. There will be a smaller system likely across the southeast, though, from the 31st of December through the 2nd of January, and this will be more of a nuisance, bringing more of just a quarter, half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch of rain here from East Texas across the Dixie Alley region and into the Carolinas. Really not that big of a deal, and maybe an inch or two of snow there from eastern Kentucky and into the Appalachians and even portions of Virginia there as we start to turn over into the new year. Then as we get into the middle of January, this is that second, third week there into January, looking ahead, this is a bit far out, but you want to kind of look at what is to come down the line as we turn into January. You can see above normal temperatures further to the north across the upper Midwest, a very El Nino type of pattern, and then we have near normal to below normal temperatures further south near the Gulf Coast and the Four Corners region as we go from the January 6th through the 19th time frame. And looking at your potential high temperatures for mid-January of 2024, colder to the north, you have the Arctic air with well below zero temperatures up there into eastern Canada. But then we still have the colder air with that freezing line going all the way south toward the Denver region, western Kansas, the Midwest, the northern Ohio Valley there, and still we have the milder conditions further south where temperatures will be in the 40s and 50s, but that will still be below normal for this time of year for mid-January. And looking at the precipitation outlook from January 6th through the 19th, wetter across the west coast and into the central plains, and also near the Gulf Coast into the east coast of the United States. Very wet, especially there for California, especially there for Florida. And then we have near normal precipitation across the Midwest Ohio Valley, and then below normal here across the northern tier of the United States. And that would actually extend up into Alaska as well, as we see that blocking high pressure system further to the north into Alaska. That will allow most of Alaska to dry out during that period. So looking here at mid-January, our jet stream, very important for just looking at the highway for storms, if you will. You can see across the southern United States here, we're going to have that highway for storms. It's shifting across the Gulf Coast and then lifting up across the mid-Atlantic and into the east coast of the United States, and then eventually into the northeastern United States for mid-January. So here is your potential storm track. Once we get into that second and third week of January, we have that low pressure developing across the desert southwestern regions, moving through the southern Four Corners region, through Arizona, New Mexico, and into the Texas Panhandle. And then it starts to take on more of an east-northeasterly jog from North Texas, eventually through the Dixie Alley region, and then into the mid-Atlantic, and then up the coast. This would be a favorable storm track for some heavy rains across the Gulf Coast and the southeast, including Georgia there and the Carolinas, and then up the east coast, including the I-95 corridor, and then the precipitation to the northwest from there could be either a mix of rain and snow or all snow. So looking at our potential track of what the storm could take and the precipitation types here, we could be seeing all rain across these green areas, and then we see a mix of rain and or snow across the pink areas. This could also include potentially some ice as well. And then we have all snow in the blue if that storm track does come to fruition once we go into the middle of January. Again, that second and that third week there into January. And if that does come to fruition, here is our potential snow depth in inches by the middle of January, around the 15th, 16th time frame. Notice it shifting further south into the Amarillo region, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, getting down there just to the north of Little Rock, through the St. Louis region, Indianapolis, and then across the Northeast, seeing some opportunities for some heavier snows with that type of storm track. And then underneath that low pressure system, we're going to have either a mix of rain and snow, or to the south of the low across the Gulf Coast and the southeast coast up through Georgia, Florida, and the Carolinas. that will be all rain, and we could be seeing some heavier rainfall and possibly watching out for some severe weather as well during that time. So that's a good breakdown on late December, early and mid-January on today's weather forecast. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel down below. I would love to hit 60,000 subscribers by the end of this year. You can help me get there by subscribing for detailed weather breakdowns across the country and the tropics. Also, be sure to press the like button down below. It helps to get this information passed along to more and more people. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and I hope everybody has a great Christmas Eve out there.